So you want to become a Unity C# programmer, but you don't know how. I got you. So let's go. Simply open your Unity, right click, create, and C# script. And voila, you just created your first C# script. Double click on it to open it. By the way, in order to program for Unity, you need a second software, such as Visual Studio. Otherwise, you can't do any programming. But when you double click on a script to open it, you might wonder, wait a minute, this is Visual Studio 2017, but I'm sure I have a higher version. All you need to do to solve this problem is simply going to Edit, Preferences, and then this panel shows up. Now go on the left and choose External Tools. Now you can choose your programming software. Here I have Visual Studio 2022 and 2019. And if for any reason you can't find it, click on Browse and search for the software you want to use. The moment you open Visual Studio, you see this. And you might wonder, what the heck is this? What is void start? What is void update? Well, they are called methods, or better say functions. What is a function? Function is like a machine. You give it a certain job, and every time you say its name, it does its job. For example, you make a function to say hi every time you say its name. You might say, I am no programmer, but I'm sure there's nothing here. So technically and basically, these methods don't do anything. What's the point of having them here? Start and update are built-in functions for Unity. It means only Unity use them. What's the point of them? Start is a function that is called only once at the beginning of the game, like this. The game starts and then Unity runs void start and the game continues. Update is like a start, but it happens every single frame, which means if your game runs 120 frames per second, Unity calls and runs update 120 times per second. Now to understand it better, let's use another built-in Unity function. It's called debug.log. Debug.log is the most useful function in programming. You write it, give it a text, and when you run your game, you see that text in the console panel. But if for any reason you didn't see console panel in your Unity panel, simply do this. Go to Windows, General, and click on Console to see console panel. Okay, let's get back to the first part. We want to understand how do start and update work. We simply write debug.log with different text in each of them. For example, for void start, we write debug.log, hi, I am start. And we do the same thing for update, but we write, hello, I am update. Okay, we save it. Now, all you need to do is save your script and run your game. Nothing happens. You might wonder why. Well, it's simple. The script we have created exists in our project. Look, it's just in our project, but it doesn't exist in the game itself. Right now, we're in our scene, we only have main camera and direction light, which none of them have our script attached to it. You might wonder, how can I solve such a serious problem? Simply choose your object and drag and drop your script on it. I can drag and drop it on main camera or create an empty game object and then drag and drop my script on it. And now our script exists in the game. And when we click on play, we can see our text or messages in console. As you can see, we frequently see hello I am update because this function is run every single frame. And when we click on collapse, we can see hey, I am start was called only once, while I am update was called 1102 times. Now let's make our own method. Write void say hi. This method says hi every time we call it. And don't forget to write a void. In the future I will explain why. And now open parentheses and open brackets and copy and paste debug.log between the bracket and change the text to whatever you like, such as hi. How to use the method we just created? As I said, method only works when we use their name. So we simply copy name of our method and paste it in the start because we just want to use it only once, and put a semicolon at the end. Otherwise, your program doesn't work. In the world of programming, semicolon is exactly like period. Like when you say, hey, I'm a game developer, period. Programming, we say, I am a programmer, semicolon. Remember to save your script. And here we have hi. We called the function only once and it worked only once. And if you simply come and do this, duplicate it by Ctrl and D. Ctrl D, Ctrl D, Ctrl D, Ctrl D, Ctrl D, Ctrl D. Okay, I have called my function 10 times in start. And when I run the game, you see 10 highs in console panel because we called that function 10 times. Now let's talk about the second most important thing in programming, which is variables. Remember I told you functions are like machines? Well, variables are like resources and products. We give variables to the function and the function use those variables to make new variables or simply does its job. Now, when functions are like machine, variables are like boxes. Now listen carefully. In real life, we use different type of boxes to hold different type of materials. For example, we use a certain type of box to keep biohazard things. We use a different type of box to keep liquids. The same thing goes for variables. We use different type of variables to hold different type of data. You might wonder, what do you mean different types of data? For example, a text is a type of data. Whole numbers such as 1, 2, 3 are a different type of data. Decimal numbers such as 0.1, 2.5, 0.3 are a different type of data. Now let's start with the easiest type of variable, which is int. We use int to hold whole numbers. Whole numbers are like 10, 100, 22, negative 75, 25, 75, 99, 9. The second type of variable is float, which is for decimal numbers. Decimal number is like 3.14, like 0.01, like negative 2.5, like 5.0. Just remember, you need to put an F at the end of it and then semicolon. You might say, what's the point of using an F? Well, sometimes when you are using a float variable, you're not gonna write, for example, 1.0. You simply write it 1F. And when Unity is working on your program, it says, hey, we have a 1 here and an F here, which means the 1 here is not an integer, it's a float and it must be read as 1.0. So this is the point of using F in your float variable, to remind Unity it doesn't matter if this number looks like an integer or anything else, this is a float. Another variable we have for holding text, string text, and it can be anything that you put between of two double quotation. We can use numbers, we can use names, we can use anything as long as you keep it between two double quotations. We have another variable named bool. Unlike the previous variables, bool only holds two values, which are true or false. Period. No more other values, no third one, just true or false. Or for example, a door in your game is either open, true, or closed, false. Got it? And these are the most important variables you need to know.